Today we're in Birmingham, Alabama, stepping inside the enchanting home of interior designer Danielle Balanis. Every room is dressed for Christmas with her signature blend of natural beauty and timeless tradition. Think sweeping garlands, festive greenery, and just the right touch of seasonal extravagance.
And for Christmas, this is the first year I've done this bow, and I was like, why don't we pair the bow over this entryway since it's such a moment as you walk through the house. So I think this is going forward where it's always going to be. I truly love it right here. It makes a statement. It feels very bold. It feels very Danielle.
Danielle's style is wonderfully eclectic, layered with curated collections and one-of-a-kind treasures that make this home feel truly personal.
In here, I have this chair, my favorite chair. This came from my grandmother's house. She's no longer with us. And this is where I sit and read. I had to incorporate it in my home. It was just way too special, and it'll go with me everywhere. It's one of those things there's money can't buy. You can't get rid of this.
To watch Danielle's home tour ad-free, scan the QR code on screen or visit Homeworthyplus.com for access to all of our latest episodes ad-free and to receive other exclusive membership perks.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Danielle Balanis. This is my home in Alabama. I've got it all decorated for Christmas. I can't wait for you to see it. Come on in.
This Christmas, Homeworthy invites you into a season of wonder. Over the next 25 days, we're stepping into homes that sparkle with holiday cheer, where garlands tumble from mantels, ornaments hang like tiny treasures, and every corner comes alive with joy, merriment, and the spirit of the season.
And I don't know how many ornaments are on the tree. Last year I got 1,400 on, and they were made all over the world. There were ones made in America, Poland, Italy, Japan, just a wide variety, and I love them all.
We'll visit homes where traditions are cherished, where beauty is made by hand, and where rituals become memories that last a lifetime.
We make about 400 of these rolls every year, and on Christmas Eve, our family delivers them to certain families within the area, and our kids get to participate in choosing who gets them.
From quiet moments by the fire to happy gatherings around the table, we're celebrating the way the holidays transform our spaces and fill them with magic.
We do quite a dressy table because it's Christmas and it's a party and you want it to feel special, but you also, it's nice to make the table a little bit kind of imperfect, a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I want people to feel at a party in my home is as if they're kind of wearing a ball gown but going barefoot. You know, it's that kind of high-low moment, the kind of specialness, but also the coziness of being really comfortable.
So pour something warm, settle in, and join us for Homeworthy's 25 Days of Christmas, a season-long celebration of holiday magic. To watch Homeworthy's entire Christmas collection ad-free, visit Homeworthyplus.com or scan the QR code on screen. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Danielle Balanis. Welcome to my home. I'm an interior designer based in Birmingham, Alabama. I like to think of what I do as curating living art. I'm excited to show you what I've done for the holidays. From a young age, little girl growing up in South Georgia, I always found the holidays to be magical. We would load up in my dad's truck, go to the Christmas tree farm, pick out our tree. We all got candy canes, went back home, and just getting out the boxes of ornaments, decorating the tree, listening to music, watching the movies. I think there's such a wonderful spirit around Christmas, and so it is so joyful to fill my home with it now, being the parent and being able to have these experiences with my children. When I decorate for the holidays, I love pulling natural elements. So we've got, everything's real. It's a real tree, real garland everywhere. And I love pulling in fruit. I love pulling in velvet ribbon, anything that feels a little bit nostalgic and of old. And when I do a color palette, I lean into what looks good in my home. It does not have to be traditional Christmas red and green. I love oranges. I love burgundies. I love sage greens, blues, anything that just feels like it's rich and can blend with the greenery and the way the home is designed. We purchased this house in 2017 and did a year-long renovation, moved in spring of 2018. This house is a lovely 1951 Georgian/federal style home, if you can imagine, and it's got great bones. So we wanted to lean into that. We had to pick the moldings, the railings, cabinetry that felt very authentic, and we wanted to just keep the integrity of the home intact when doing so. This is our living room. This is where we congregate as a family, where we spend evenings watching movies, and where we have our tree. This year we went with a flock tree for the first time, and it is filled with ornaments from Radco. And we have for the skirt, it's vintage. I found it on Etsy, and just it's old and I love it. It's very cool. Then as we move over here, once again, my love for fruit and real greenery. We've got apples, oranges, dried orange slices, just making it a very natural and easy to construct mantle. And as things start to really ripen, we can swap out the fruits. But for now, it's all fresh and beautiful, and I think it just feels organic and what Christmas looks like. So this pair of chairs that I have here, it's meant to be a little more of an intimate conversational area, and it's near the fire. But these wicker hoop chairs, I found them each in a different place online when I was scouring. I think one came from Cherish, one came from Etsy, but I knew they were the same because I love a pair. So that's how these came to be. And I love a little wicker. I think wicker is great in every room. For this room, we went with Sherwin-Williams Courtyard Green, and it's in a semi-gloss. This paneling is actually original to the 1951 build of the house. What we changed though is the crown molding, which is in the rest of the house. They had a different molding in this one room, and I thought it felt out of place, that we needed to be consistent and keep this layered crown molding throughout the house. So on the entire first level of our house, with the exception of the kitchen, we have this molding, and I absolutely love it. This is a custom piece of furniture. It was made in North Carolina by Grant Trick, and on the fabric we went with a Robert Keim. I designed it specifically for this space. I thought it went well with the arch, and I thought it was just going to be very practical, that you could be a part of this conversation or that conversation the way it works. Black Sheep Antiques, this treasure trove in Harpersville. I found this amazing staircase from Barbara, and that's something I love to collect. I think we all need things we like to collect. I like to get miniature staircases. I like to collect nautilus shells. I like to collect heads, hands, feet, anything strange like that. So that is a favorite. Moving on to the sofa. This was the first piece of furniture I purchased when we did the renovation. We needed a new sofa. A lot of pieces from my old house were a little more mid-century and weren't quite right. And I love mustard. That is my power color. So this is a mustard sofa, and because my kids are so rough, I have 3 boys, the cushion didn't last long, so it's already been recovered in a lovely jasper brocade. But I love pillows. This goes back to my love of layers. So I just wanted this to be a place you could just like plop down on and feel like you're enveloped in cushion and feathers and fabric. And then on our coffee table, so you can imagine 3 boys sit here every day, look at the TV. I wanted to kind of station it because this is so long and narrow. And so we've got the books, we've got the heads, and we've got the lovely containers. And then we have more books and more games. I believe when mixing prints and patterns and colors, there is a power in just having a lot of it. So all of a sudden it becomes a little more muted and faded, or it starts to blend into each other. But it's all about scale and about keeping the intensity in the same hue. So even though we've got blues and we've got different reddish tones, and we've got mustard. They're all of the same intensity, and that keeps it grounded. I think if I were to throw in a splash of hot pink, it would make you scared, and not in a good way. It would really be too electric for the space, and it's all got to really simmer together. Now, a hot pink would be great if it had other hues that were of that intensity, but for here, it's got to all be cohesive, and that's the magic to get the sauce right. This screen is actually a new purchase. I had a more modern piece of art here for quite some time, and I found it at Betty Margaret the Nest, another great source here in town for treasure hunting. And I mean, it's crusty, which I love. It's old. It's got some little holes punched in it. But I thought that tone of dark red and the way it feels lacquered, just really, and the size and scale of it, it really was a better fit than the piece of art I had. So I just moved that somewhere else, and this became the new home for this. These are Nautilus shells, which you'll see them scattered throughout the house. I love collecting them. Sometimes I find them when I'm shopping, but other times there's great sources of it on Etsy that have different shapes, different scales of them, but they're a favorite. And I really first discovered them being a little interior design nerd. I've got a Billy Baldwin book, and he did Diana Vreeland's Park Avenue lovely apartment, and she has Nautilus shells throughout hers as well. And when I saw it, I said, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Let's incorporate that everywhere. So on this end of the living room, we have more seating, and we have game and art supply storage, cleverly hidden inside this Dorothy Draper Espana chest. And it's just, there's more layers, more art, and then the rugs. And I was really compelled to do multifaceted rugs, different sizes, thrown on top of each other, rather than a really extra large rug. I just thought it played with the pattern, just like how the sofa's plaid, and then it's mustard and brocade, and we've got a flame stitch. The rugs are really speaking to that and telling the same story, that different things, different scales can all work together. These plates I found at Stash, downtown Birmingham, and then these horns I found online. I think they're a new reproduction, but I love mixing plates and something kind of different like this together. The juxtaposition is really nice for me. It's a good composition. These window treatments, it was as Robert Allen was sort of shuttering, I found this sample and I bought, I think, everything they had left. I wish I had more of this, but they are no longer producing this, and I really don't know how much Robert Allen has in production at all anymore. So they're kind of special because I know I can't get any more, and I wish I had more. Now we're stepping into the study. This is my favorite like relaxation room in the house. This is another fireplace where we love to have fires, drink coffee, read a book. And this is where we keep the stockings for Christmas. So they are in two separate rooms when we do the big reveal that morning. This year we went with greenery again, but I did something different and adding this velvet loop-de-loop. I'm sure it has a real name, but I found this online and thought it was just darling. I love the old charm of it. And then in here I have this chair, my favorite chair. This came from my grandmother's house. She's no longer with us. And this is where I sit and read. I had to incorporate it in my home. It was just way too special, and it'll go with me everywhere. It's one of those things there's money can't buy. You can't get rid of this. So in this room, we've got a really dark backdrop. I went with a Coal and Sun wallpaper, and even if I ever wanted to change it to a different print, I think this room always has to be black. I think there's a certain mood it evokes. It really leans into the moodiness of what we're trying to have in here. There's no TV, no electronics, no technology. This is just a sit down, you've got a fire, you've got a book, or you've got a conversation, and that's it. Or you're going to play a game. I don't want this room to ever feel too bright or too cheerful, if that's the right way to put it. And so here I've got these prints, the psychology prints, and I found them, had them framed, love keeping them in a series. And then once again, we've got these horns, nothing similar about what's going on, but I love the layering of it and how it makes your eye wander, it envelops the space. And then I've got a vintage tapestry, or an antique tapestry, that I sourced through Paige Albright, and had this white sofa, which was fun and great, but sometimes white can be too sterile for me, so it needed the tapestry on it. It needed layers, it needed all the pillows it has, all the things to make it feel grounded. In putting all these pieces together, they're all from different places. We've got this half circle coffee table that was sourced on 1 Kings Lane, I believe. And then these Cherish end tables. This is a Lee Industries high back, wing back settee. And I definitely wanted to throw all the things on it so it didn't feel too new or too perfect. And then we've got these great tall lamps that are even lean into that. And then you kind of turn the corner left and right, and then there's shorter chairs. So you're kind of doing this dance where things are moving up and down. And I think it keeps it very interesting. There's no one rule about what size your furniture should ever be, in my opinion. Sometimes it looks amazing to have everything on the same level. And sometimes, like in this instance, I think it's great to have it moving all around. It really is all very situationally specific. Another thing I love when designing a space is mixing antiques and new pieces. And so as you can see in this room, there are plenty of pieces that are old and crusty. And then you turn around and there's a lacquered finished table and then a Kelly Wearstler little mini chair. But two things that are a little more new, but they blend with the old. Because I think if you ever go too strong one way or another, all old, all new, it can be either a showroom or it can look like a costume. So I think that blend is something very delicate, and you've got to kind of really walk the tightrope with it and make good choices, good decisions that will blend and marry well together. Another new, old, high-low mix that I was able to incorporate in this room. These pedestals are from CB2, and then I found this pair of busts, and I've got dried flowers and plants in them. And these busts actually came from Target. It was one of those promotional, they'll have something cute in the middle of the store, and I just grabbed and ran. So these have been here from the inception as well, and I think they'll always live in this spot flanking the room. And then to add a little old and more books, because no room is complete without books, I've got my stacks of books under this glass desk with an old Chippendale chair. And we've got mixed fabrics on it. We've got horns that came from Lolo French Antiques. And I think just all the layers, all the pieces give it intrigue. So that's what we want our house to be, interesting, well read and interesting. I love phones. I love like real phones, not the cell phone that we're all attached to at the hip. I actually bought, and that does work, a phone that could be connected to a landline. And when I got the phone company out here, there's only one place in the closet, which is where we have like our turntable and all of the technology, those closets we all have now. That's the only place they could get the phone jack. They said in order to do it like now, it was just going to be so complicated. So that is me wanting to have a real phone, but maybe in my next house. People come over, especially for the holidays. I love for them to feel comfortable, warm, like they can walk in my kitchen and just pick up a glass, sit on a bar stool. I want them to feel welcome. And so I hope with everything that we've done, the way we've decorated for this season, people do come in and have that experience. I definitely consider myself a maximalist. However, that word is becoming a little bit overused. I feel like it's starting to just be on everything that involves someone who likes to collect. So I would say more than a maximalist, I'm a curator, I'm a collector, I'm someone who seeks things out, and I'm someone who likes to layer. Here we are in the foyer of the home, which I find to be such an important space when decorating and designing. I think it's everyone's first impression. So here we have, I think the most elegant thing for Christmas time is the magnolia draped on a staircase. And there's nothing more precious than seeing my kids run down the stairs Christmas morning, and this is their backdrop. On the stairs, I've got pictures, many of which are old family photographs. I love incorporating that in, but then it's also art I've collected. So more than anything, it's faces, but there are some relics of travel. There are some religious icons we picked up in Greece. There's a little painting from Venice, things like that. So I love how when we're going up and down the stairs, it's like a memory lane between family members and travel experiences. And then I leaned into all the colors I like in here that are enveloped in the house. The orange, the yellow, the reds, the greens. I feel like this is just kind of the genesis of my home and where everything gets started. So here on this console table, I had a skirt made out of this yellow silk, and it's also a different scale brocade print than what's on the sofa. I had this mirror made to fit this space. And the lovely thing, I've got these two peacocks, and I found them at one of the stores where people have booths, and it's very affordable to find things. My grandmother, my Mima, my mother's mother, has these in her house. And so it was once again a nostalgic throwback when I found them to put something in my home that reminds me of like childhood and what I grew up seeing. I love draping doorways. I've got portieres in my study, in my dining room, and then now I've got this Pierre Frey portiere that leads you into the living room. And for Christmas, this is the first year I've done this bow, which came from Leaf and Petal, I did have it in my study over that fireplace, and I thought about Dorothy Draper and how she does the bow cornice boards and bow drapery. And I was like, why don't we pair the bow over this entryway since it's such a moment as you walk through the house? So I think this is going forward where it's always going to be. I truly love it right here. It makes a statement. It feels very bold. It feels very Danielle. So this is the dining room. These are the lovely portieres that I mentioned, that I also have an identical pair in the study, because the study and the dining room are the front two rooms of the house. So I wanted to play with that symmetry. In here, we've got mustard or a chartreuse velvet on the wall. And I've got these really kind of funky out there Pierre Frey wallpaper that I had spray mounted to panels. My original thought was to put that everywhere in here, and I thought it might have been too much, which is rarely a reservation of mine. But for me, it was like, let's just get a little bit of it because it's so cool and funky, and then you're really going to notice it and really like lean into it. This piece of furniture is my husband's Yaya's, and there is a matching china cabinet to it, and it's just so special. I think it has made it with us from our last house to here, and it's something he will always have and treasure, and maybe one day my boys will take it with them. The lovely florals, I think it just is holiday, but it's also not too holiday. It doesn't feel too serious. Over here, we also are going to revisit my love for shells. So I've got these shell boxes, and they all house things. So they're not just pretty, but they also have a purpose. In here, I've got silverware, hand sanitizer, and let's see what I'm keeping in this guy. Wine stoppers, very important. So these are all things that we tend to use when dining. So it's great that they're pretty and they serve a function. The dining chairs were originally a neutral color, and once again, kind of drove me crazy. So I found this lovely Decor's Barbera's fabric, and I wish I had like more places to put it. I love it so much. And then for the place settings, it's Le Double J for the napkins. And then this is actually my wedding china, and it doubles for Christmas. I think, once again, things don't have to be overly Christmassy. I think putting in the right amount of greenery and doing different things, you can use what you have. You don't have to have a Christmas china per se. Originally, when we moved into this house and started having holidays here, I did a lasagna. It was lovely. It was from the New York Times. It took me hours. And after a few years of doing so, my husband and I kind of had this brainstorm, this lovely idea to do the Greek version. My husband is half Greek. So we do pasticcio now for Christmas Eve, and it's amazing. The pasticcio is his Yaya's recipe as well. There's this Greek cookbook that we unearthed from her old home, and so that makes it even more special, because he always, growing up, spent every Christmas with his Yaya at his house. So we do that, and then dessert is typically strawberries soaked in a sugary wine sauce with mascarpone cream on top. It's divine. So this is the china cabinet that goes with the buffet that we got from Nick's Yaya. Inside, I just keep a menagerie of things, but very special. This was my grandmother's, and there's a pair, and she always kept it in her china cabinet, so I kind of have to do the same. It makes me happy. I've got these really great Indian glasses that I love to use. I would love to find more. And then we have different Waterford pieces. They were all gifted to us when we got married. So to fill this wall, because this is quite a large dining room, once you take out the fact that there's a table and chairs, you've got all this extra space to kind of fill in. I found this lovely bench. I believe it was on Facebook Marketplace, and had some Schumacher pillows cut to go on it. It is flanked by a pair of taxidermy peacocks from Krill & Gal, which I absolutely love. They do sustainable taxidermy. These peacocks died a natural death and lived a lovely life. And then, like, once again, when I find great art and things that coordinate, I just will kind of lean it or prop it, and I love to just throw it where it feels pretty and, you know, let it feel more organic that way, not ever too contrived. The way our home is set up, it's a square. And so there's like 2 rooms in the front, 2 in the back, and then the foyer, and you carry through. So I feel like the heartbeat of the home is definitely the kitchen, but the way it flows, it all just connects and works together. It's definitely rooms, it's not an open floor plan. The kitchen's where we gather and hang out, but then right off of it, the living room is where my children are sitting every night, and we're communicating back and forth. And then right now I'm sitting in the study, and this is my favorite room. I love reading books in here, having a fire. Kitchen's the heart of the home, but the way it all connects, they all feel like they move together. Now moving on to the kitchen, otherwise known as the heart of the home. When we're having parties, events, just friends over for dinner, this is where we always end up congregating. I'll be cooking something, they'll be sitting, we'll have wine, conversation. It's really lovely. But I love incorporating Christmas in my kitchen as well, especially on my stovetop where I'm doing all of my cooking, where I'm making my pasticcio, or on Christmas Day, I do beignets, and they're the Café du Monde mix. I don't make my own batter, but they're really lovely, and this cheers up everything. You feel like Christmas is in every corner of your house. Also, in designing and crafting the house, and having a large family that I was trying to accommodate, I felt having a great island was really important. And so it's got, of course, a ton of storage, but it's got room for my entire family to sit and have breakfast together, have dinner together. And to me, meals with the family are still so important. Another element of designing this kitchen, or designing any space in general, is I don't want it to feel too much like a kitchen. I did want to give it a little bit of industrialness. I wanted it to feel a little bit like it belonged in an English basement, but I also wanted it to have art and life and things that every other room would have, so it didn't feel like it was put in a box. So I found this lovely painting that came from the South Side Purveyor, and I thought the colors were just fantastic. It really leaned into some things happening in the dining room and throughout the house, but I thought it really brought some life there, so it wasn't too sanitary and white. And then this is a French pastry shelf, and I found this on First Dibs. I think it might have actually truly come from France when I ordered it. And so that was just something that I thought gave it character and added another layer. And then my absolute favorite piece of art in the house, This is a very talented artist in Chattanooga, and it says, "Y'all act like you never seen a watermelon queen." Fun fact, when I was 11 years old, I was young Miss Melon. So there you go. On the island, and it's quite a big island, so there's not one certain piece that could really fill it up. I have to kind of have different things going at all times for it to look not lost. So I've got the scales of justice, and I love, like, I'll get little mini grapes. Right now I've got cranberries and apples, but any kind of seasonal fruit I think really pairs well on there. I love foraging and getting big branches to go in the middle or off-centered, always in this vase. And then, you know, flowers or cookies or something we're making loves to make its way on here, fresh baguettes, you know, anything like that. But I think this island is so vast, we have to kind of station it and keep a lot of things going on it at all times. So when it came to lighting, and I think lighting is so important and really can be so fascinating, wanted to lean back into that English basement kitchen idea. And so I gridded out, it's 5 by 3. So there's 15 total pendants, and they've got the lovely milk glass shade on them. So that makes them feel a little bit more old. And I just set it up that way. It reminded me of a restaurant I once visited in Chicago, Publican. Also, there's this movie I watched with my kids a million times, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and when they're in the factory where all the candy's made, it kind of had that gridded light, white towel, black surface going on, and so I wanted to replicate that feeling. So from the kitchen, we are led into the breakfast room, and this started off, I think, pretty simply, and I kept adding plants and objects, and now it's become what it is. But I love bringing the greenery and the outside in, and I love decorating this room for Christmas because it's such a little box that we can be really creative and like throw all this in here, and it doesn't overwhelm it. It makes it more like precious and more sweet. So this is also the coffee bar, and I couldn't live without a lovely glass of espresso in the morning. It's my wake-up call. So on the table, this is actually garland, and I was gonna hang it, and I just kind of threw it in the basket, another just kind of thing that happens, and I sat it down, and I was like, you know what? It's kind of cute just falling out of the basket. Like, that feels Christmassy to me and fun and undone and not perfect, so I'm like, just leave that there. And then I've got my topiaries. Some of them are on life support, but I'm very confident I'm going to bring them back. It's kind of a thing for me. I can keep children and pets alive, but these little plants they get the best of me. And then this table skirt, handmade, is also a Pierre Fray fabric, and it just gives a little more dimension to the room. And once again, the scale of this fabric next to the scale of the Kaufman chair fabric, it plays on each other because they're so different. In this setup, we've got 3 chairs, we've got a corner bench, and we've got this sort of woven round rug that follows the pattern of the table, or follows the shape of the table just in an exaggerated way. But this is, more than anything, where my kids sit and do their homework. So it's really serving multi-functions. It's my morning coffee spot, it's homework, it's, you know, it's just another great family space. So in the coffee bar, we have a lot of options. Every day it's sort of a different thing. I love the espresso machine, and I do love espresso, or like making a little cappuccino, but also we can make a big pot of coffee, and then we keep all of our glasses up top. And so when we were cutting our marble, we cut it to feel like a furniture piece. So this all fits together and squeezes in this little cubby we have here. And then the mirror was just inspiration to stick it up high from a restaurant I went into in New York, Le Cuckoo. I love my home in the sense that the way it makes you feel very comfortable and warm. I feel inspired in my home. And I love how I've got these like little post of books in my home because I love to read. And so sometimes I'll walk by and I'll see a book I forgot I had, and it just gets me excited. So maybe the books. I love all the books in my home. So now we're coming into the primary bedroom, and this space is actually not original to the house. This was an addition, part of our renovation, and we kept the molding as discussed, but also my goal was to make this a very cocoon of a space. I love a dark bedroom, I love a moody bedroom, and I feel like we really achieved that here, and we can get really dark with the windows closed at night and just drift away. For selections on this room, we've got another mixture of fabrics. We've got a very deep red French toile. We've got pops of purple in that hero pillow. We've got the green on the quilt, and then we've got fur. So you're getting textures, and you're getting colors, and you're getting pattern, and all of the things. And then on the settee, we have a lovely Schumacher stripe with a piece of lace from Greece thrown atop, and then there are books, because where would I be without my books? They are my friends. So in order to mask the TV, because they're sort of a necessary evil, I don't love a TV in the room, but we need it, we watch it. So I created a gallery of intaglios to shape around it, just to give it a little bit of beauty and interest. To just have the TV slapped on the wall just felt like it would be an eyesore of sorts. Then also, once again, my beloved shells, they have found their way into my bedroom as well. So this is also part of my collection. And then as we move our way over, this is my seating area. So whether I'm reading or watching television here, or just looking out the window, making notes, thinking about things, I love that you can have somewhere to sit in your bedroom, that it's not just for sleeping, that you can actually unwind and sort of disengage or re-engage all in the same space. Right now on the chairs, I've got Pierre Frey Ecot fabric, and I am making some decisions about it. They're actually auditioning because I'm thinking about making this really large, like oversized, I don't know what you would call it. It's not a slip cover, but it would kind of blanket each chair out of this fabric. So right now this is my lab, and we're playing shop, seeing what works and what doesn't. Well, I've got these bulbs from Trader Joe's. I think they're like $5 or $6, and I think they are so fun and Christmassy, and I can't wait for them to bloom. So that's something I enjoy collecting and putting in a group. There's a power when you group things together. And then I've got a William McClure piece here. We bought art for our kids in 2020, it's dated. And this is my youngest son's Benton's piece. So one day when he's a grown man, he can decide if he wants to sell it or keep it, and just it's his. From the bedroom, we have the bathroom. And once again, I wanted it to feel very roomy. I wanted it to be a place where I could get ready and just feel beautiful in its walls. So I chose a scenic wallpaper to give it some interest, to give it some character. I didn't want it just to be a plain white bathroom. There's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted a bathroom that was fun. So we created these cupboards on each side. These house all of our things. And then we have our his and her section. I wanted a massive shower, and so that came to fruition. And then I love to take a bubble bath and read and think and really dive into some design books. And as you can see, I've sort of surrounded myself with all of that. Checkerboard floors, white marble, the Palmer sink legs, even the lighting. I think we didn't want it to compete. We wanted it to lean into the whole house and to be as classic and beautiful, but still creative and still interesting as it could be. I love a hidden door. So here we have our water closet, but it is in fact wallpapered, and it's a jib door. So when I want to shut it and make it go away, it's gone. So growing up in South Georgia, I definitely had a love for interiors. I loved architecture. I loved when my mom would go visit a friend that had a beautiful house. I was game, like, take me. And so that joy of peeking in, seeing what people were doing, I didn't really, I thought about being a designer as a kid. I think it was suggested by my mom, and it was on my radar. But as I got older, those things weren't as important. And it was really back when I was in college that a friend of mine at a different school said she was studying design, and it clicked, like that light bulb went back off. Why am I not doing this? So switched majors the next week, literally, and I never looked back. It was the best thing I did. I had the most fun when I got in design classes. It was what I needed to be doing. So then after graduation, I moved to Birmingham. I worked for a designer for a couple of years, got a great foundation, and then it was the 2008 era, and so everything in that sector really slowed down when the economy crashed. So I left design, and my family has a drug company, and I went to work, boots on the ground, doing drug sales. And then when we renovated the house in 2017, 2018, I had friends just kind of tugging at me like, why aren't you doing this full time? So I said, you know what, why not? Let's give it a shot. I got a LLC, and then in 2019 got my first client. So that was really exciting. It was scary but exciting because I knew I could do it, and I knew I would find happiness in it. But when you put yourself out there, you feel very exposed, and there's a lot of this imposter syndrome. I haven't done this in a while. What are people going to think? Am I really a designer? And I can't tell you how embracive and accepting people were of me getting back in the ring. Well, a home is more than four walls. I think a home is where you feel safe. It's where you feel embraced and where you can be who you are. And a home is love. Homeworthy, thank you for stopping by today. Happy holidays, and until next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.